Greetings and welcome for day 2 of Education 2.0 conference. Prepare yourself for a journey as captivating and surprising as a twist in your most cherished novel. As we roll ahead, we are exploring the horizons of educational evolution with sessions designed to enlighten, provoke thought, and ignite inspiration. Today is about building connections with pioneers, exchanging transformative ideas, and unveiling cutting edge strategies that will revolutionize our understanding of education. Remember to immerse yourself fully, and while you're at it, capture and share those memorable moments and insights using the hashtag education2conf to share your experiences, key takeaways, and perhaps snap a few selfies while you're at it. Now, let's take a moment to express our deep gratitude towards our premier partner, Sean K. Shakarami, the founder and CEO of Opelio, for their invaluable contribution to making this summit a remarkable experience. All right, let's dive in. Our first panel discussion of the day is Thinking Outside the Box, Innovative Strategies to Overcome School Staffing Challenges. We'll delve into the critical concern looming over schools across the nation, staffing shortages. It's no secret that finding and keeping dedicated, talented staff is becoming increasingly challenging. So let's invite our moderator to the stage to discuss further. Please welcome Professor Alicia M. Williams, the master speaker at Training Source One, and the rest of our panelists.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's going to be a good topic. And this topic is not only in the childcare industry, but it's also in all industries. So I believe everyone could glean from this. You can share this information. I'm going to introduce our panel. We're going to be speaking specifically about staff turnover and combating it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce the panel, and I'm going to have each one of them to state their name, their business, and maybe their mission. Okay, so I'll start with Georgia.
Good morning. My name is Georgia Forbes. I am the founder and executive director of Ionic 6. We are a nonprofit organization that provides STEM programming for underserved youth. We start, excuse me, primarily with middle school aged through high school to provide dynamic programming that introduces students to computer science and ultimately teaches them how to code. And our mission is essentially changing the world one ion at a time because we believe for each individual really does have the ability to make a difference. And we look to empower our students and really show them that there are a world of possibilities open to them.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Ishmael.
My name is Dr. Sean Israel, and I'm here representing Maya Angelou Public Charter Schools located in Washington, D.C. And Maya Angelou is a school system that's dedicated to serving students who live in poverty or low socioeconomic status. And so at Maya, we strive to not only educate students, but to also help students get their workforce credentials.
Um, my name is Panarat Rollader. I am an adjunct MBA faculty member at Washington Adventist University. In addition, I do nonprofit um, and also consulting business, which is focused on organizational and leadership consulting. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Rachel McLean. I'm the president of Collegiate EduNation. We are a technical assistance provider and nonprofit based in Texas, and we serve public school districts, small and rural public school districts across Texas and other states in the country. And basically, we concentrate on supporting the districts, building capacity in these rural districts, starting in pre-K and continuing to 2 years post high school. We design programs of study and industry based certifications, degrees that helps students find meaningful work in their rural communities based off of workforce demand.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Kim Alexander, and I'm with Collegiate Education. We're based in Roscoe, Texas, and as Dr. McLean mentioned, we're a nonprofit, and our focus is on rural. We work with small and rural schools to align with higher ed and workforce to address the post-secondary credential crisis. Uh, in Texas, we boast record high school graduation rates, but we have atrociously low post-secondary credential completion, and we're trying to move that needle from 23% over 90%. Good to be here.
I'll just use that one. I am Alicia Williams, and I am the owner and founder of Training Source One. And my mission, our mission, is to assure that child care providers, also early education professionals, are equipped to be a part of the classroom setting that actually strengthens the children's ability to show up in this world. Now, we're going to go to the next question. And I'll start with Dr. Say your name again. Yes. I'll start with Dr. Israel. Israel, we know that the topic is all about thinking outside of the box, innovative strategies, basically to combat turnover. Tell us how you do that at your organization.
Well, like you said, turnover is a problem in across the board in all school systems, pretty much, especially when you deal with very challenging populations in urban school settings. And so, what we do at Maya Angelou, we try to combat it in a couple different ways. Number one, we try to add value to the staff members that we do have by providing different types of bonuses and incentives
Yes.
to really make the staff members feel appreciated and valued, and also to give incentivize them for staying. And if they feel like that the organization, the school system is a place where they can grow and thrive and progress, then that'll increase the chances of for them to stay. But also, you still have different pockets and different places, like math and science, where is always a problem with filling. And so what we try to do, we try to go outside the box to try to fill those particular needs. And one untapped um, place where you can find good quality folks is in the HBCU market, because
Okay.
a lot of times people skip over the HBCUs and they look at other institutions and universities. And within the HBCUs, you may have folks who are interested in education but not necessarily know how to get in it. And then you also and once you do the recruiting and build a relationship, then the university start bringing people to you, and people start coming to you to apply. And but a lot of times, you might find yourself bringing in people who are don't have an education background, but they might have, say, for example, if you're trying to fill a math position, they might have a math background, but they didn't go through an education training program. So when you do that, you just have to take those people where they are, and then you have to really provide some quality professional development so that you really train those new people on how to enter the classroom, how to work with students, how to deliver a quality lesson, how to give both formal and summative assessments, so that they can really understand how to deliver instruction in a quality way, and then you build those people, because if you don't do that, you're going to always find yourself in a shortage.
Very good. Very good. Would anyone else like to answer that question?
So again, we work with rural school districts, primarily in Texas, but we are doing several things to not just combat turnover, but also increase the pipeline of folks coming into education. So, a lot of the challenges that we see in public education are not really present in rural. And so we have a social media campaign that is called Teach Where It Matters. and it's targeted at our communities and across social media platforms to really widen the pool of folks that might be interested. But we also start down at pre-K, encouraging students that education is a very viable and successful career. And then we offer exploration opportunities in middle school, and then we overlay that with actual practicums at the high school level, and then we support those students 2 years post high school. So if a student is running all on time in our programs, they can graduate with their Associates of Arts in Teaching before they graduate from high school, and then they move into a 4-year university. We have partnerships where the degrees are brought to the rural communities so that the students do not have to leave, because that's the real cost of higher ed, is the cost of living. And so the students stay in their community. We use AmeriCorps funding to offer them a living wage while they're in those last 2 years of school. And so they graduate with their bachelor's degree, zero student debt. They've had a living wage. They're in their communities. And so we are a big proponent from a rural perspective. If a student is from the community and they grow up in that community and they want to stay in that community, we want to provide them a way to do that. Then we also have a really strong mentorship program that supports our new teachers and gets them acclimated into their role when they have the classroom of their own. And so we found that we call that our Grow Your Own Teacher program. We found that those folks tend to stay with us in our districts, and they're less mobile than people who are coming in, maybe getting a year or two of experience, and then they're leaving to go on to something else.
Grow your own teacher.
Grow
That's
your
like
own
a
teacher.
mentoring program.
Yes.
I like the title. Dr. Alexander, I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
I have another
Yes,
one.
ma'am. Yep.
So, at your organization, Collegiate Edunation,
Mhm.
tell us your staffing challenges. Give us one and tell us how you combat that.
Well, and Dr. McLean addressed it to an extent, but there's this thing called rural dilemma, and from many perspectives, rural is the new inner city in terms of challenge. A much more economically disadvantaged population and a much more diverse population than a couple of generations ago, and so we have this thing called rural brain drain, and our best and brightest leave, they don't come back, and so how do you called AI that's coming down the pike, and a gentleman that we work very closely with, some of you may know, Dr. Bill Daggett out of New York, suggests that now, because of artificial intelligence, the machine can deliver content better and faster than the teacher, but it can never replace the development of interpersonal skills, the application of the content. And so we think with that concept in place, that is going to bring a lot of support to this rural teaching shortage crisis and up the game for the teachers that we have, where it'll free up more time for them to do more meaningful things with students in terms of applying the content in meaningful ways.
Thank you, Doctor. This next question is for Panaret as an adjunct professor.
Okay.
Tell me the challenges that you face within your classes
Um,
and tell us how you combat those challenges.
okay. First of all, I would like to share that currently I'm teaching my MBA student where most of them have a full-time job and then they take class in the evening. And my class is strategic management and also about managing human capital. So to me personally, my challenges with my students would be how to make them understand about the content and also I like to encourage them to apply whatever we learn to use in their future life. And then when I heard about my peer, they talk about staffing, did really remind me about what's going on in educational institution in overall. And I would like to share that one of the contents that I like to praise a lot in my class is about individual needs. when we think about the needs, right, we couldn't help to think about Maslow hierarchy of needs, where we would pay attention closely to people at individual level, like what's the reason why they come to work, why they change the job, and all of those. So, and then we would take a look at system level, at organizational level. Um, what about workplace? What about HR system? And then we could even go beyond at national level. And when I think about our discussion today, I couldn't help think about leadership. I think a lot to do with leadership. First of all, I think senior leaders at national level need to really focus on this issue, because it's really about, at the end, it's about perception toward teachers or educators within our nations. As we know that education is a foundation of all kinds of developments, then why not we really work on this? This may lead to education reform, right, and else. But the first group that really need to use leadership skill to um, encourage, to persuade, or even motivate all parties is of those leaders. So I keep thinking about this, and I think that we need to make sure that the top leaders in our nation do understand very deeply about the importance of education, how it would impact to the other system in nations of the world. And we go from there. And then we, of course, get a team of leaders at all levels to work together, make sure that they are on the same page. And we will create like a very good system for teachers, where they would satisfy about the payment, about the promotion, benefits, and else. And I would say that we could imagine what would be the positive results after that. All stakeholders gonna be really satisfied, and that will be sustainable of our development in the future. Do I
Thank
talk too
you.
much?
No, I have a question for you guys after I make this statement. Now, one of the big parts about professional development, and you mentioned it, Dr. Israel. Professional development actually allows you to prepare the teachers to go into the spaces. However, the first word that I think about whenever there is maybe bringing in staffing is recruiting. You have to recruit effectively. I want to hear from each of you. How do you recruit? Georgia, you're first.
So, running a nonprofit, my approach has been a little bit different because we partner with schools and community based organizations. So, we're not always directly within a classroom setting. Additionally, the content that we're providing requires particular skills. We're working with computer science, and it needs to be someone who understands it enough to make it simple enough for an 11-year-old to understand. And initially, we did start with staffing teachers, and it was very difficult because they didn't have a good grasp on the content. So we switched approach and we actually recruited individuals who are either already developers and programmers or engineers, someone with a more technical background. And from that perspective, I look to the colleges and the universities in particular. One, they're eager. They're excited, and they're excited about their content, and being excited about the material they know then transfers that energy to the kids for them to be excited. So I've found a lot of success in terms of either very recent college graduates or individuals who are just at the beginning stages of their career journey, or existing students, particularly like when we're doing summer programs and that's just seasonal, where we're able to bring them back in other times. And then we work with them to develop their delivery skills and working with the students and how to provide the content. We equip them well, we give them a full curriculum, encourage them to make it their own in how they're delivering, but they're basically tapping into knowledge they already have. They're sharing something they're passionate about, which then makes it not feel so tedious. It doesn't feel like work. So a lot of the individuals we have on our team are very excited about what they do. They're excited because they're transferring this knowledge. They're seeing students then adapt and also share the same excitement. So I would say finding individuals that are passionate about what they do and they're excited, because if you're happy and excited about what you do, it's so much easier to be successful in the job.
To me, okay, all right, all right. Um, well, you know, the place where I work, Maya Angelou, it's a small charter school organization that has five different campuses, and so but we're surrounded by like several large school districts, that have 30,000 plus students. And so recruiting is we had to be very strategic with our recruitment, and then we have to make sure that based on the people we recruit, that they definitely want to work and understand our population, because we work with a very challenging population. So the methods that we do in order to recruit, of course, we go to the colleges and universities, in particular the HBCUs. We host recruiting fairs. We go to recruiting fairs, and then also one thing that we do rely heavily on. We have a referral program for current employees, and so we get a lot of our employees, the good ones, definitely through our referral program. And so when we have people that are already in our organization that has bought into the concept and the mission, and they refer people, that makes the process a lot easier, because like I said, we work with a very challenging population, and people have to really understand that and really be in it and committed. And that's the main thing, because if not, you'll just continue the turnover process.
Are you guys getting some strategies?
To me, I think recruitment is really important process. Um, our goal is how we're gonna have the right individual to do the right job, right? So for being teacher, it's really important. Our job is to build people, to shape them, to educate many people that they're gonna contribute to the world. I think I do agree with my colleague here that we focus on education. I personally see the importance of education very much. So I see the teacher as role models for their students. So if we're going to have someone to teach students, then we do need the real one, the teacher that we consider as a real teacher. Of course, he or she has to have the knowledge about what he or she is going to teach. So those we could see it very well from their degrees, from their education background, and we could get a recommendation from their school. So I would say that for this career, it couldn't help to get the top student from education school or the other school. Um, and then how we gonna have someone who we would feel like they see teaching job as a career, not just a job to pay the bills. So that's how they're gonna stay for a long time. So I think that part is more challenges, and I believe in education background. I think the one that could provide us a lot about their background about this is their professor or the teacher from their college. So I think if we really want to make it um, work, then we would need to create a system where we can implement it to use for all schools across the country. For example, for teacher that would of professor who would teach at University Lowell, we should have the requirement where they also have education knowledge or teaching knowledge before they could apply for the job. This means that they're not just going to come in and talk about their expertise about the subject, because we have to keep in mind that all of these faculties, they are the role models. So they need to have um, the feeling as the teacher. So I think we need to work hard about recruitment process. Again, go back to their education institution. Thank you.
So we do support all of those kind of traditional things, job fairs and job postings, but three things that we're seeing some good movement. First of all, we encourage our districts to have one of their most engaging and entertaining and passionate teachers be their education and training high school teacher. Because when those students come in and they see someone who loves their profession, they communicate it every day that this is a profession. They take them to, in Texas, it's called TAFE, but education, competition, conferences. That gets a hook in students, and then they want to have that lifelong teaching career. Um, the other area, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, is our social media campaign called Teach Where It Matters. As educators, we have to change the narrative that teaching is a bad profession. Teaching is an amazing profession, and we have to change that narrative, but we own that, and we do not do a good job of changing that narrative. And so that's a social media campaign. We push it to all of our communities. We push it out as an organization as well. And then our third thing, and this is really kind of an emerging area for us, Arizona State University, ASU, has a really robust program where they support team teaching models, where you have a lead teacher, you have teacher candidates or teacher interns that work together. It's not been a model that has been as easily implemented in rural because you might have a teacher preparing for several grade levels, but we are piloting that. And once you have a team of teachers that you are with and you've got a, kind of uh, a work family, it's harder to leave that. And you have somebody, you're not just out there on your own. You shut the door to the classroom. And so that team teaching model, we're seeing some early indicators that that could be a really successful platform for us.
Well, real world relevance through work based learning. And in Texas, we've got a very punitive A through F system that's focused on a multiple choice test, but we can't find very many careers where you go sit there and take a multiple choice test all day. So we've got all these industry professionals that live in the area. So, what a novel idea, let them come in and help teach the classes that would lead to high wage, high demand job certifications where we can produce a more highly educated rural population. That's what's going to lead to the innovation that leads to rural job creation. So things like there in Roscoe, we got a mixed animal vet clinic, EduVet, that's open to the public, where the veterinarian is adjunct faculty with the local community college, where students can earn certifications in veterinary medicine that would lead to animal and human health care pathways. EduDrone, where students can earn their 107 drone pilot's license. EduMaker, where students can get certifications in 3D printing and CNC and robotics and all those things, and then marketing and on and on. So just using local facilities and local people that are experts in the field. EduWeld, where students can do more than learn how to run a bead in ag class, but can earn industry certifications that would lead to high wage, high demand jobs in welding. So just bringing that real world relevance, redesigning school to prepare students for their future rather than our past.
go back this way. But before I go back this way with the final question that I have for the panel, does anyone have questions for any of the individuals here? Yes, a question, but it's not an individual. So with all the teacher vacancies, could you stand up so we can hear you? So with all the teacher vacancies and all the things that you're doing,
positions because thank you. How do you still fill those positions with the teacher vacancies, like the subbing, and if you don't have a teacher in the classroom to start for the year, or if a teacher quit and relocates?
That's a good question, and that's something that a lot of school districts, especially the urban ones, face on a daily basis. Thankfully, I haven't had to experience that in a long time, but during times when I did, the principals had to be really creative in looking at the schedule, and a lot of times the during the teachers' planning periods where they would have a planning time, they would cover empty classes that needed to be covered, and they would receive an additional stipend for covering the classes. But that's something that uh, we typically, don't like to do because that takes away from the teacher's planning time, which then affects their lesson planning and their delivery for their own particular classes. But in certain, dire situations, those are type of things that we do where we, try to have all hands on deck. And then when teachers have planning time, or if there are any available staff members uh, that are free, like the deans or the instructional coaches or whatever, they would chip in as well. But usually it'll come from creative scheduling and using teachers from their planning periods to cover open classes.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention. And so if you don't have enough teachers, you got to do something a little bit different. Dr. McLean referred to the grow your own teacher, and that's a very effective program because students that grow up in those regions are more apt to stay in those regions. But students that went up through a system of high expectations for all students, they end up with pretty high expectations for themselves. And we've got like there in Roscoe, our home base, we've got 6 grow your own teachers there in the local school district that were all certified teachers by age 19 or 20. And what we saw there is the power of peer tutoring. Those folks are the same age and they speak the same language. And so we remove a lot of those traditional barriers and generation gap. They're used to technology and understand that. And so it's just looking at it like the glass is half full rather than it's half empty, which is a lot of the rural dilemma. Woe with me, we're rural, so we can't do anything. And so it's looking at it like we are rural. There's nothing we can't do if we set our mind to it.
That the team teaching model that I referenced out of ASU, it really does address this issue too. And so if you have a lead teacher, a master teacher, 2 or 3 new teachers that maybe not as experienced or maybe not as effective in the classroom, and then some teacher candidates that are growing to be teachers and grow your own program. If you have an absence, you're okay. And so you're shifting, but it's a different look. Instead of having a roster of whatever 25, 30 kids that's your students, that master teacher actually has a roster of about 150 students, all according to the school size. Um, and for larger districts, because we've worked with had these conversations with larger districts, we have not implemented this. Obviously, it's not the school size we support, but they also changed their structure. And so instead of a classroom where you're sitting with desk and you have, whatever, 25, 30 kids, a master teacher might be more in a room like this, delivering content. There's teachers that are learning under him or her. And then in addition to that, there's the teacher candidates. You have special ed support, you have bilingual support. And so it's in a facilitated room as opposed to a traditional classroom. If we look at what the classroom looked like in the late 1800s and we look at the classroom today, they look really similar. And so what do we need to do to kind of blow that model up? And that team teaching model might be something that we can do to do that.
You referenced using other people in the fields as instructors. How are you bringing them in? How are you competing with the pay? Because if they're in the technical fields, obviously they're making more money than teachers. How are you managing?
Well, there again, you kind of got to be creative. Like the vet clinic is open to the public, so it's a for-profit business. The embryology, we're the one-stop embryo shop for West Texas. We design and build bulls if you're seed stock, cows if you're dairy, and a lot of those types of things where the school can pay a portion of a salary that would help compensate the veterinarian, for example, for the time spent away from the actual practice working with the students. And then, but then if the business becomes profitable, that's what enables you to do the paid student apprenticeships and the work-based learning. And so you kind of got to be creative, but there's a way to do that where schools partner with profitable businesses, and then they end up with the PTech as we support the students years 13, 14, where they can do paid student apprenticeships while they're earning those college degrees.
There you go.
That's really quite a struggle. Because I'm a nonprofit and not a school, I do have more flexibility around how I can compensate my staff. Given that I am getting individuals who are very early in their career or just starting their journey, I don't have to compete as much with a higher salary, but I do absolutely pay them more than they would receive as a teacher, given the skill set they're bringing to the table and what I'm looking for them to do. So that has certainly helped for me to be able to recruit talent onto the team. And I think this speaks to just a larger issue. It was mentioned the classrooms pretty much look the same as they did in the 1800s, but we also still kind of treat the profession very similarly. And I'm going to say we treat it a little bit like a blue collar job, and that's how teachers are compensated, despite the fact that it really should be treated like a white collar job because you don't have recruiting issues with white collar jobs. And why there's a shortage is because teachers work so much harder than their compensation reflects. And while I'm managing a nonprofit now, I used to teach, and the struggle there was compensation. I loved what I did, and oftentimes you also have teachers who come out of their own pocket in order to provide or purchase materials that they need to help the learning experience within the classroom. Additionally, I'd like to say with this advancement of technology, I think it's an area that a lot of our teachers are a little bit more intimidated by if they've been in the profession for a while, but it really is a tool and a resource that can be very valuable within the classroom. So some of the resources we do offer is partnering with schools and helping them understand how to utilize the technology and integrate it into their curriculum as a part of the learning process for their students.
While I was listening to everyone, something came across my mind. I feel like if we could, why not just try to create satisfaction for all of us? This means for people that work for school in all roles, they're gonna satisfy about their job or their careers, right? Hopefully, we call career, not a job. And at organizational level, they should satisfy about how they run business. It doesn't matter public school, private school, or those, but we do run it as a typical business. So we need to take a look at our expenses and else. But for the we have to make sure that this will be sustainable business, right? So to do that, the question is how we gonna make all parties satisfied. So as we have to respond to the needs of students, as we have to provide the service, as to make money for organization, then what kind of service that considers great? right? Not just good, because we are building people, we are educate people. Then we need the best teacher. So those talent, they're gonna think about themselves. That's the nature. What pay they're gonna have, what kind of benefit they're gonna have, what kind of promotion they're gonna have. That's why I did mention earlier that then we need to take a look at the system as a whole. And also, earlier we were talking about the perception toward the teacher in the society, right? I think that's really important. So if we could change those perceptions, make this career is really on the top of the careers in our society, I think it would help a lot. So it's gonna attract those talents and also gonna help to reduce many conflicts and the problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to wrap this up, but I'm going to ask the panel to think about 3 words that if someone was searching for you, your business, your organization, 3 words, what would those 3 words be? And I'll start with Georgia. So the 3 words. So you guys think of this too. Like if someone is searching for you, what 3 words would you want them to find you under? What are the 3 main aspects of what your role is in your organization?
All right, so 3 words. I am going to start with innovative, um, transformation, and diversity.
I think I need a couple more minutes to think about this. No, now I bet better answer. They might be watching. So, no, I would say opportunity youth. That's a hyphen. That's one word. All right. So I say opportunity youth, um, empowerment, and development.
To me, I think the 3 words about me is probably for my whole life, not just for my business. In terms of business, I'm doing 3 things. Teaching as an adjunct MBA faculty, doing my nonprofit, and also do consulting business. But 3 words that really about me, I think I have it on my LinkedIn. I am a learner. I love learning. I always gonna learn until the last day of my life. I learn from everyone, like today from my colleague and hopefully from networking and else. So I am a learner. I am a helper that support the goal of my life. All the roles that I have is all contributing to the goal of helping others. And the last one is educator. I see myself as an educator because I got built to be a teacher from my parents, and also my first 2 education degree is in education. That's really foundation for my teaching career. As currently, I'm teaching businesses. So that's how I see myself, learner, and like what I said.
So I would say rural and career connected educator.
Well, since we're in Las Vegas, just win, baby. We're interested in the highest student outcomes in the nation, and second's just the first loser across the finish line.
Very good. Let's give our panel a hand. My 3 words are professional development training, earned CEUs, nationally accredited training provider. Those are my 3. See y'all out here.
Thank you, panelists, for that amazing panel.